Hello, everybody. Here we
Hello.
are.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Marika. You
everybody.
made it. Excellent.
Yep,
Where's your
just in
tea?
time.
So I'm going to go back to
Cheers.
the home screen here and say hello to everybody. So a little different today. Unfortunately, we had, well, I should start with, today we're going to talk about the Eastern Winery Exposition, which Ken, Chuck, and I had the pleasure of spending the last week or so, Monday through Friday of last week. And we had a fantastic time. You have a hole in your mug.
A hole in my
You have a
mug.
hole in your mug.
That is
Don't
fantastic.
spill any tea.
I have a hole in my mug and no tea is coming out.
So anyway, we had a great time at the exposition, and we thought we'd share a little bit of what came out of that great time, and some of the things that we learned. And but I also should let you know that we sadly all brought back the flu from New York. So all of us are here. Cheers to drinking some tea.
Cheers on location
yes,
at Chuck's house.
Chuck's got
Convalescent home,
It's
aka.
God bless at home.
Not entirely without some elixir
South African.
from South Africa.
Yeah.
This was actually given to us by a distillery and brewery in South Africa. It was the last day we were there before we
Yeah,
left.
that was a cool place.
I can't believe you still have some of this,
That's because Ken doesn't know about it.
but I'm very pleased about it. So it's very, very nice.
Yeah,
elixir.
yeah.
Feeling
It is.
better
Well,
already.
Sure, I know. I'm like, wow, it's a miracle cure.
So anyway, so we're not feeling well. We'll probably have a little bit shorter show today so that we can all continue to convalesce. And here we're on location at Chuck's home. His beautiful stone fireplace is there in the back. I'm trying to avoid getting my lovely wife sick. So since Chuck and I were already sick together on the road, we figured we'd be sick together at Chuck's house. And Ken's hunkering down at his house, and Marika's smartly avoiding all of us. So
Yes.
So how do you have a good week, Marika? While we were away, everything seems like you held the fort down pretty well for us.
Yeah, pretty well. It seemed like it was a pretty good week. We did all right,
Excellent. All right, so we're going to talk today about our experience at EWE. Let me give you a little background. Eastern Winery Exposition is the largest wine exposition, basically east of California. The next largest in the country is a show called Unified, and we've been to Unified. What was it, about 6 years ago, I think, and so it's a big show. All of the vendors who supply the equipment and the software and the technology that runs the wine industry in the East Coast is pretty much present at this conference. So there's an opportunity to meet with the manufacturers, to talk to the people who build the software, to talk to wine consultants and the like on the trade show part of it. And then there are guest speakers from all over New England and all over the East Coast who come and talk about issues related to growing grapes, making wine, and the wine business in general. And we were honored, Hermit Woods was honored to have Ken invited to speak for the first day's workshop. And he was invited to speak at 4 separate workshop events during the show. And Chuck and I had the opportunity to attend those workshops, and it was really an outstanding experience.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, it was. The presenters were fantastic. It was about fruit wines and meads, and Ken brought his approach to fruit wines, which is in juxtaposition to the presenters there who had a completely different approach, a different take on how to do it. And it was a great comparison of strategies, styles, laboratory science and chemistry to art and taste buds and intuition. I gained a lot out of it, and I've been listening to Ken talk. Yeah, those are a lot of
sum that up nicely.
Yeah. I had to get some of those words out of there, but no, it was a great day. And who was it? Dominique Rivard and Joe Fiola were the other presenters, and very knowledgeable, very experienced, coming from a different side of one academic and one industry. And it was really a great day. I took away a lot from it.
Yeah, Dominic and Joe are two really powerhouses in the wine industry. They have been making wine and talking about wine and teaching about wine for 30 years.
Yeah,
they've
Yeah.
presented at every Eastern Winery Exposition show since we started, and really are considered really some of the foremost experts in the industry. And I was really proud to see Ken up there presenting with these two guys, and holding his own and actually shaping the conversation. He was able to really to bring the conversation to a new level on several of occasions, and I thought that was really outstanding. And there was a lot of mutual respect clearly on stage between the speakers and Ken, and we also Ken spoke with one of the founders of Bluette. We've talked a little bit about Bluette, I think, in the past. Bluette is a wine producer in Maine. Michael Tarian, who is also a Napa winemaker, is the partner, along with the gentleman who presented with Ken. And I don't remember, his name is Joe, I believe, Ken, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And so Joe was there. And who else did you present with? There was one other gentleman who was with a meadery.
The guy from Bluette is Ed Lutkins, I believe,
Ed,
is his
that's
last name. And he was fantastic. I loved the geologic context that he put the wild blueberries in, and passed around an example of their traditional method, blueberry champagne, which was really nice. There was a guy in the afternoon I presented with on mead. I believe his name was Matt, and the meaderies in Maryland or Pennsylvania.
Yes, and he had some nice mead. He shared one of his products. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, it was really an honor to be up there, especially with Joe and Dominic. They Dominic consults all over the world, numerous meaderies and fruit wine producers all over the place. Produces a tremendous amount of wine, and Joe is an academic. He's sitting there with all sorts of equipment and graduate students and the opportunity to explore all sorts of small-scale, detailed things with the chemistry, like Chuck mentioned, behind it. And then there's me in the middle, between those guys, talking about a way of not really following some of the rules that people might follow when they're making 10,000 gallons of strawberry wine to ship all over the world. And so it was really great that the people in the audience could see different approaches to making wine, and feel confident that there's something to line up with from however they do it. And I think that went really well.
Yeah, there was a moment there when just drew a blank on what I was trying to say. In the beginning, it was fascinating. So Joe and Dominic both got up and sort of summed up the day. Here we are to talk about fruit wine, and these are the things that we know about the types of fruit that we're working with. And Dominic got up and talked about, and these are the ways in which you should handle fruit when making wine from these various fruits. And basically, Ken got up shortly thereafter and said, and I do it entirely different than all of that.
Yeah, it really was.
And then shared a wine that was as good or better than any other wine that we had the whole day.
It was really shocking how separate that whole thing was, because at that first talk that Joe and and Dominic gave, Dominic had a slide that basically said, fruit wine should be fruit wine. People go in there expecting to smell pineapple or smell peaches or smell strawberries, and he basically said you don't want to make a wannabe grape wine and put that in quotations. And then I get up and my whole talk is about crafting Hermitage and making wines that are a bit like vinifera wines, but with their own unique character. And we shared that wine around, the 2017 vintage of Hermitage. And Dominic raised his eyebrows and came up to me afterwards. He says, "This isn't a wannabe wine, Ken. This is really, really good." So that was great. That was really awesome.
He said that on the mic to the whole audience.
He did. They said that there.
Yeah.
He retracted his wannabe thing.
Yeah.
I think
he did. And then the Red Scare came out to end the day, which was really
that was so
really awesome.
So during this, so everybody gets context, this was a workshop. It was a day-long event. It broken up into 5 parts.
Right.
Ken was presenting at 4 of them, and it started at something like 9:30 in the morning and ended at 3:30 or 4.
It was a long day.
Long day, and there were probably 60, 70 people, 75 people in the audience. It'd be a guess, maybe more, maybe less, but and these were industry people from all over the East Coast that want to learn about technique and methods to making wine. And so it was really educational. And during this time, each, Dominic and Joe and Ken and several other people shared examples of wines that we were talking about for all the guests in the audience to try. So you had some reference to some of the things that were being talked about. And I know clearly the 3 of us are biased, but I really feel strongly that Ken's wines were as good or better than everything that we tasted that day. And another moment that I wanted to bring up, Ken, you mentioned there was a gentleman who came and visited our winery a few years ago.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was awesome. After one of the presentations, a gentleman walked up with a bottle of wine and said, "Here, I really like you to have this." And I said, "Wow, thank you." He said, "You probably don't recognize me," and unfortunately I didn't. But he had come into our winery 3 or 4 years ago, and he was very interested in making mead. And I showed him around, took him downstairs, talked to him about all sorts of stuff, and said it's not that difficult. If you're into it, go and pursue it. And he was coming up. He's retired, and he and his wife started their own meadery. And that was one of their bottles of mead that he came, and he just wanted to thank me for giving him the confidence to pursue something that he was really excited about. And that was awesome. We got to share that with Bonnie in New York City. That was great.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, and there was another story you shared there that Dominic was consulting with a mead maker.
That was mind blowing. And that's one he shared that day there. It was a single bottle that was given to Dominic by someone, I think in Montana, that has a meadery and had brought in some honey from blueberries. So it was a blueberry honey. And he was making a brochet out of it. And a brochet is a type of mead, like a melomel is a type of mead. Brochet, you take the honey water mixture in the beginning and heat it up and try to get it to sort of invert and crystallize the honey itself. Sorry, not the honey water mixture. Right. And it's really critical not to cook it too far so it doesn't bake to the bottom or charcoal on you. But you want to get some of those candy notes and like a creme brulee sort of character to it. Anyway, he made this brochet, and Dominic was out there consulting with him, and he said, "Dominic, I know you're going to the Eastern Winery Conference. You're giving talks with Ken. I really like to get his feedback on this wine. Please take him a bottle," which is awesome. And then Dominic, at that one particular mead episode, there were maybe only 30 or 40 people in the room. So he was able to open that bottle and share a small sample with everybody along with me, which worked out great.
Yeah, it was really nice. I never had anything like that before. Flavorful, aromatic, and just honey. I mean, it was, and it wasn't creme brulee. It wasn't overly sweet. It brought out character that I thought it was a big success. Did you ever talk to him and tell him?
I did, and that was it. I told him that was a lovely mead, great aromatic, great flavors, great structure, well built mead. It was a beautiful wine. But I told him that, when I taste brochets, I'm looking for that brochet twist, that little cooking of the honey. Yeah. And this didn't have that. Yeah. That wasn't really clear in this particular mead. You didn't get that creme brulee burnt sugar note at all.
Yeah. I skipped ahead a little bit. I just want to stop for a second and say hello to some of the folks that have joined us today. We have a number of people on, all of our favorite people. Thank you again for joining us. It's so fun to see you here every Monday and taking part in our show. Christine and Priscilla and Janice and Matt and who else is here? Geraldine. Hi, Geraldine. Sorry I can't be there with you, but better for you Trust me. And let's see who else is on. Anybody else? I don't see anybody else. If you are on and I haven't said your name, just say hello in the comments so we know you're here. And I also forgot to mention, if you're new to the show, please subscribe. You can subscribe right down here on YouTube, and there's a little bell. Yeah, exactly, right down there. And there's a little bell for Facebook. You can subscribe and like our broadcast if you like what we're doing, and share it with your friends and family if you think people will enjoy hearing about what we have to say. Matt asked what meads or wines we presented at the EWE. We presented 3 wines.
There were 4 actually.
4. Okay.
Yeah, we started on berry. The first episode was all about berry wines, and that's where my colleague Ed presented Bluette, which is a varietal wild blueberry champagne, and I presented the 2017 Hermitage, which is those blends of fruits. The second session was on stone fruits, and Dominic presented a pear wine, and I presented our crabapple wine. And Joe pointed out that apples are not actually a stone fruit; they're a palm. But we had brought that up with the convener of the conference, and they were ready to just go ahead with it anyway. Then the third wine that we poured was our 2023 Honey Gold. This was a session about how to make clean, engaging meads. So it had to deal with fermentation issues and stuff like that. And then the very last episode or event at the end of the day there was about mellow-mouse. And there was a colleague that was presenting on a piment, which is a grape and honey-based ferment that they do. And I was presenting a mellow-mouse, which is a fruit honey blend, and that was our 2017 Red Scare, which went over very, very well. It was great.
We finished the day with the Red Scare. That was
Finished the day. That was the last one.
Yeah. So that was a great first day, and I also, many of you saw the show last week, and if we didn't make it clear, Phil, who was on our show last week, he's a great guy. Every time we go to the Finger Lakes, we try and touch base with Phil. We learn a lot from Phil, and I think Phil learns from us as well. And it's a great opportunity to be with the people you know, and share your ideas. And so that also is another aspect of EWE that's really special. It's something like 1,000 or 1,200 people in the industry come together at this event, and you have 3 or 4 days to bump into people, to have lunch, dinner, go out to the clubs.
Yeah, there's no drinking, of course, during the event. A big wine event with a bunch of winemakers and alcoholic beverage enthusiasts. There would not be drinking during this event, right?
If you would be professional.
Right, exactly. And if you were drinking, you might bring your immune system down, and take a risk that you might get sick or something.
And there's a curfew at like 9:30 every night.
Right, sure. So.
And there's no playing loud music after 9:30.
Yeah, we know about, especially not Radiohead.
Yeah.
Well, possibly room service shows up in the guise of a security guard who's 6'8".
They were bringing the towels, the extra towels and sheets.
That was room service.
That was room service.
That's
yeah,
what that was.
They were there just a day late.
Needed any more towels?
Our audience is gonna think we didn't behave ourselves.
No,
trip.
they would be wrong.
We behaved ourselves as we always do.
Well, if our audience knows us in any way at all, they know we didn't probably behave ourselves. No,
We'll leave that a mystery, won't we?
Well, yeah. Excuse me. Marika, if there's a question out there that I'm missing, I'm trying to stay up on it. But if there's a question that someone has that I missed, let me know. So some of the other folks. So speaking of Phil and some of the other colleagues that we work with, one of my favorite people to see at this show every year is Carlo.
Oh yeah.
Carlo's been on our show. Some of you may remember. I think it was probably 6 months or a year ago, that he was invited to talk to us from. He was talking to us from his winery in New York, which he no longer owns. He sold it, and he's now working for a winery in New Jersey. What's the name of it? Unionville.
Yeah.
Unionville Winery in New Jersey, a winery which I'm anxious myself to get to. I'm going to go to when I head south. I'm going to in April. I'm going to go south with Geraldine for a couple weeks, and we're going to make it a point to stop there. Unionville is the winery. If you don't remember, when we got voted into the when Food and Wine magazine included us in their top 500 wineries in America. I didn't know that until I saw a Facebook post from Unionville Winery in New Jersey.
Oh, really?
And the Facebook post said, "We're so proud to have been included in the Eastern Winery, in the Food and Wine magazine's top 500 wineries. We and Hermit Woods in New Hampshire were included in this category," or something like that. And I was like, "What?" And I went right out to the internet and got the book, and sure enough, we were included in that book. I got to talk to somebody at Unionville and let them know that story, because they were the ones who broke the news for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and if you remember, there were only a handful of wineries in the whole Northeast, that even got included into that book. So anyway, Carlo's making wine for them. He's just pinch hitting for them. They lost their winemaker, unfortunately, from illness or something like that. And so he's helping out. But Carlo's also an author. He's written numerous books on wine, and he has a new book coming out that actually includes Hermit Woods. He, on his last travels through the area, he spent some time with us, and he wrote about us in his new book, along with several other wineries around New England. So we're excited to see that. When that book comes out, we'll share it with everybody. And so
the other thing he shared with us, Bob, was that he's working on a new book.
Yes,
about the history of brewing beer in the state of New York. And he's, as a good reporter, he's out to get the character and the things that are going on with the people, the stories, the documentation, and the historic significance of it. When, unions striked, and then craft brewing went out, and big brewers moved in, prohibition times, and all sorts of stuff. It seems like a very colorful format. I think he said it's already at like 700 pages.
Yeah, I can't wait to read that book too. It sounds really interesting. He shared with us a couple stories that he's digging up to present in the book, and it really sounds fascinating. He also wrote a great book on whiskey, bourbon, and he's traveled all over the East Coast, all the way out to Kentucky and Tennessee, and visited.
He's everywhere.
How does
you
he
follow him
get
on
around?
Facebook? I think he has a levitation car or something, or a time traveling machine.
Yeah,
he's in Nebraska one day, New Jersey the next, and like, how does one do that? I guess he drives all night or something.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
But anyway, great guy. And then some of the other folks, we met several folks. The Zervino from New Hampshire was represented there. Brian from Flag Hill. Lynn from
Copper Beach.
Copper Beach, yes, thank you. And who else? Mark was there.
Mike Apollo from Apollo Vineyards.
Apollo Vineyards, Mark from Seven Birches, and Lewis from Sweet Baby Vineyards.
Yep.
Right.
I think that might have been it. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry.
Can we talk about Method Charmat? That's something that we.
That's
exciting.
Yeah.
This is
exciting.
Things we got from the time there. This is, I guess Ken can explain.
Yeah. So, I'll leave it to Ken to explain, but this is in the category of new things we learned. So tell us about the
years ago we were excited to bring some sparkling products to everybody at Hermit Woods. Being in a cooler region like this in New England, higher acid to wines, and those are perfect for bubbles. That gives body, that gives character. The northern section of France is where Champagne is, and that's where they make beautiful champagnes. And further south in Provence, you get a richer, redder wine sort of format. Anyway, we were looking to create some sparkling products. Instead of going through the very time-consuming and difficult traditional method of creating bubbles, we wanted to use a tank and force carbonate. You just pump CO2 through there and create little bubbles. It's the way many champagnes and sparkling wines are created. And so we were advised, and we bought a tank, but the tank doesn't get very high pressure. It's fine for beer or for cider or for session meads or light sparkling beverages, but to get to a higher concentration of CO2 for little tiny bubbles that are persistent takes much higher pressures, and that's done in a very specialized tank, about 10 times the price of the tank we bought, which is called a Charmat tank. And Flag Hill has one of these tanks, and they open up a service to have local wineries, New Hampshire wineries with their cool climate, high acid products, to bring the products in, and he will use his tank and bottle it for a very reasonable price. I know Mike Apollo has used the service, so it's really awesome, and we will be using it soon.
And what wine are we going to be making into a sparkling wine?
I don't know. I have to check that with marketing if they're going to release it, so early.
Oh yes, we're going to release it for sure. We're
cucumber apricot.
Yes,
no,
exactly.
Green tomato. Green tomato.
Wait, zucchini tomato.
Zucchini wine. We're gonna have a zucchini champagne. No,
it's called
no.
Vegemite.
Anybody out there
Vegemite.
like
Vegemite wine?
Anybody out there like our strawberry rhubarb?
Sparkling strawberry
How
rhubarb?
about strawberry rhubarb
No.
as a champagne or a sparkling wine?
That is, some people say, would be cuckoo bananas. People would just be flocking to Hermit Woods and buy it all up in one day.
Well, it's hard enough. We already sell it all whenever we put
I know,
on.
it already sells out.
No.
That's going to be crazy.
So I actually started the process. I've talked to some of our friends in the art world to come up with a new label. So that's exciting. And this all happened on the floor of EWE. We ran into Brian and we started talking about possibilities. And so again, really great chance to meet people, come up with ideas. It's a really good show. Some of the other things that we learned. Guess what? Did you know that there's a thing called ice cream wine?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
No,
I can't even believe
that's
it.
Even more bananas.
I'm walking along and there's this guy serving ice cream and there's a bottle of Merlot sitting on top of the tank. And he asked if I wanted a sample. And oh my God.
I guess I had some of that too. That was good.
It really was.
That was the easiest booth to find because there was a huge ring of people standing around enjoying ice cream.
So I think we all talked about it though. And we decided that it'd probably be a pretty bad idea to have ice cream wine because we figured in the downtown Meredith in the beer and wine garden, we'd be serving ice cream to all the adults. And all the children would be pleading with their parents, "Mommy, I want some ice cream," and they wouldn't be able to have it.
No, so we're not going to do it.
That would be mean. That would just be cruel
because nobody would come up to the garden to have ice cream.
Well, they wouldn't. I mean, they certainly wouldn't bring their kids. That's for sure. That'd be just cruel.
No, that would be
so. I don't think we'll have wine ice cream anytime soon. But it was good. So if you do see somebody out there,
it'll be good to have some good kid drinks out in the garden. That's something to consider. Something directly targeted towards them, because they do come with their parents and their dogs, and it's a great place to hang out. So we should make sure we have some
starter wine,
young adult drinks.
When they're of age to drink wine, that's like they're just transition easily, like kid wine, right? Isn't that Manischewitz or something?
You're going to get us in trouble. This is going out into the world.
It's going out into the world.
Everybody's
be careful, Chuck.
Hey, the cigarette companies all did it.
Well, exactly. And look what happened to them.
They're billionaires.
Billions. No. Moving right along.
That doesn't make it right.
I just saw a new face here, Michael Gendris. I don't want to mispronounce your name. I saw that you've arrived. Nice to see you. Another couple things. We're in the market for a possible new labeler, and we met some vendors who might be able to help us with that. Little pricey, so we're probably going to hold off on that. But it was great learning about the potential and new opportunities to label our wines more efficiently.
I think we need a foeder or some big casks before we get an automatic labeler.
I do too. I totally agree. I think we need a couple foeders before we do that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what a foeder is now. You better tell.
It's a big oak container. They're used a lot lately in the brewing world. You go to places that are making sours or just regular beers, and you'll see this gigantic cylindrical solid wood piece. Looks like a hot tub that's 20 stories tall, and you put beer into it. Remember the one we saw at Dogfish Head a few years ago?
That one probably was 20 stories, not 20, but it was big.
Yeah, that was big. It's
You
probably.
know, it's kind of,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking about what we learned. One of the things that we learned at the show also was the price of stainless steel has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
It's in some cases 100% more expensive to get stainless steel today, and even worse, the shipping costs have doubled and tripled. So if you're buying anything from out of country, and a lot of our stainless steel comes from out of country,
Yeah.
you can get American-made stainless steel, but even that's the same thing. It's supply and demand. So the prices are up. So Ken had a brilliant idea. What a perfect opportunity to
To
start
buy wood.
scooters.
Mm-hmm.
Buy a container out of wood.
Right.
Because the price of wood, although probably has gone up too, has
Mhm.
not gone up nearly as much, I think, as the
Right.
price of stainless steel. The problem,
Shipping
though,
is
is
still a problem.
shipping is still a problem, and filters were already really expensive.
Yeah.
Before we even got to the price comparison. So, what else did? Oh, and we discovered, and this is kind of mundane. Probably most of you don't necessarily care about this, but it was exciting to Ken and I to run into this one dealer who deals with filters and filter equipment, and we've been trying to solve the problem. The crabapple wine is one of the most challenging wines because the slurry that Ken has to deal with at the bottom of the tank. And we end up throwing away a lot of the wine because its sediment is so caught up within the slurry. And so we've been trying to figure out a solution to that. And Phil had one time talked about a special type of filter that he uses that costs way too much money and is way too difficult to use, a Lee's filter.
Yeah, the Lee's filter. That's right.
We've talked about centrifugal force machines that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And all these things just didn't make any sense. And we walk up to this guy and he says, "Oh, you ought to have a bag filter." Like,
Yeah, they call it a sock filter, and
Sock filter.
it's used in all sorts of applications in large scale aquariums and different sorts of liquid processing for fruit purees or orange juice with pulp or without pulp. They set these things up, and it's just a cylinder that can stand pressure. And you take your slurry material or something with particulates in it, and you pump that in. It goes through the middle of the sock, and it is forced under pressure to go through the membrane of that sock and comes out the other side without the particles. The sock then collects up all those particles. So that's going to work out great because we struggle making our fruit wine like you would a red wine out of grapes, but then to strain out and properly hold back all the little parts that are in a strawberry as compared to a grape. They're different creatures. So a strawberry wine will have this sort of slurry of light colored Pepto-Bismol sort of stuff that's holding a bunch of wine, and without a good way of filtering it, that ends up going down the drain. So this filtration system, I have high hopes, is going to really, really help with that a lot. And there's probably 6 or 7 of our major wines have this kind of challenge to deal with.
it's great. I can't believe that we've gone 10 years without knowing that this thing existed.
I know.
Yeah.
I share a comment. Priscilla, she's one for puns. Zucchini would be a stretch, but she doesn't want to squash our idea. Very good.
Priscilla, are you suggesting I make a squash wine?
Zucchini's a squash, yeah.
Some of you out there may not know that Ken made a zucchini wine.
We did. That was our first or second year back at your house, Bob. And we used to present our wines at farmers markets. And there was a little farmers market in downtown Samperton. And I was there with Maya one afternoon. And someone at the end of the show, at the end of the market, came up with this big box of these gigantic dirigible like green zucchinis. She said, "Here, I know you make wine out of stuff. See if you can make wine out of this." And I put black pepper in it. It was a zucchini black pepper wine that was very, very forgettable. I have no idea what it tasted like. It didn't taste like much at all, actually.
I think I have a bottle in my basement.
No, you don't. That would be great if you did.
Well, I certainly didn't want to drink it.
Yeah.
No, we never know.
Maybe it's evolved. You know, sometimes things
Could be the
change.
best
Things do
wine.
get better
Maybe
with
it's
age.
not. Maybe it tastes like baby wipe stuff.
Matt mentioned that he had a ice cream wine float,
Yeah,
and we did
They
too.
did too. Yeah.
So the guy slushy machine and created a slushy, and then he put ice cream into that. It was like a root beer float or an ice cream float.
I don't know.
Nothing not to like about that.
Yeah, I still don't think we're going to go there, but you never know.
We'll have two of them.
I didn't think we were going to get a slushy machine, and we ended up with one of those. So.
We did. A double.
Yeah, a double.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Let's see. What else did we get any other ideas, Ken? Can you think of anything else? I think that covered the big hitting items. We had a lot of little things we were talking about.
Yeah, we had smaller things to deal with. We do know that there's some crossovers with what we do that maybe in the future we'll go to a beer conference, because they have some technology like canning and other things, and that sock filter sort of concept also. So we may learn some things that fit with our unique wine production format.
Well,
by going to a different conference.
I'm going to go to a beer conference.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough. You know, the rough part is everybody's going to be drinking wine.
At the beer
At the beer conference?
Yeah.
So another aspect of this conference is probably one of the best is the after conference life that happens. We've been going to Syracuse now for how many years? Probably been there 5 times. I think we decided 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. We started in it was 15 or 16.
15, I think we said.
And we discovered the York this time.
The York, exactly. I was going to bring that up. So there's this new restaurant. It's not new to us anyway, and we'd never been. And we discovered that they served oysters $1 a shuck.
Yeah,
I haven't seen $1 oyster in years, and
these were really well done too. It was
really,
nice,
really delicious. I think what we eat 50, something.
We did 60.
60. Yeah, that's right. We
60 each.
20 each. I think you only did 19 though.
That's right. Yeah, Chuck gave up 2. He did 18. We did 21 each. Bob.
That was heaven. I think you probably all know I shared that picture of those oysters on the
That's a great picture.
on the Facebook.
And it's just around the corner from the whiskey bar.
And it's just around. So the whiskey bar, another place we've been there every year.
Mhm.
They must have 200, 300 whiskeys.
I love it. It's a wall.
It's a wall, the whole wall.
Yeah.
They have one of those rolling ladders that you would have in a book, a huge library that goes floor to ceiling. So that you can reach that book. Well, they've got, scotch and bourbons and all things from all over the place.
Yes, that was a great experience. It's always fun to go to the whiskey bar, and a lot of folks end up there after the show. So most people who drink wine don't discriminate against any of the alcohols. Lots of room for beer and whiskey.
Yeah.
And if you are in Syracuse, I highly recommend the York. We had dinner there too, and
We did.
I had a ribeye steak that was up there with one of the best steaks I've ever had.
Yeah,
and I think you guys
I
are.
had pork chop.
Yeah,
That was great food.
Good food, good service. So let's see. We went to a breakfast place that we'll never go back to.
I'm sure we will, because we'll
A couple of those.
forget.
We might forget by the time we get back there, Bob.
Yes, we were sitting there as we were having a rather unsatisfactory experience again when we realized that was the place that Chuck broke his tooth in half
I did.
on avocado toast, or what they call
toast.
top toast.
Of all things, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
we didn't have that.
Yep.
I don't think we're ever going to have top toast again because
No, I
of that
don't
experience. It seems really painful.
That bagel place we went to had good bagels.
Priscilla's at it again.
Yeah. Oh, shucks.
Oh, Tom Wiegelman is here. What's this? Fruit leather. Sounds like fruit jerky. I don't know where that comes from. Hi, Tom. And let's see what else. So that covers that. We didn't go to. We went to Shaughnessy's. It was just a hotel bar. That was fun.
Mhm.
That was fun. The last night we were there, just about half the conference was in.
Yeah, because
Shaughnessy's.
everybody
Oh,
said,
yeah.
well, yeah, it was a little bit cold. We got to meet some of our
Hopefully your flu, Chuck, was not that contagious at that time.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm sure it wasn't. And I had a mask on and all that. So
Yeah.
and a wall of plasma or something, or they're all sick as a dog right now. It's a possibility.
So those are the highlights that I thought about. relative to our EWE experience. Can either you, Chuck, or Ken come up with any other things that I might have missed?
Well, I had a great opportunity, at the dinner. They have a conference dinner. It's on Wednesday night, just before the last time, and we had that opportunity to sit at the table with Joe Fiola and some other wine experts, winery owners, and I happened to sit down next to a young man who is a geoscientist that maps terroir in Virginia. And he also finds water wells. And of the water well work that's been done in Virginia over the past 30 years, my name's on like half of it at the company that I worked for before. And so he knew who I was, had no idea that he'd be sitting down next to me. And then we started talking about mapping terroir. Terroir is the sense of place that you can taste in foods and in wine when it's done well. And it includes the climate, the soils, the microbes, all of those things come to factor to create terroir. And so his focus is on the soil component of it by mapping the soil, and the soil is a derivative of the geology below it. So these are unglaciated regions, so all the soil that develops is from the rock directly below it. So you can literally go through and look at the dirt and figure out what rocks it came from. And that dirt then is very critical to the character of the grapes that are grown in it. So wineries hire him, and this is done out in California and Washington. They're geologists that map terroir. I just never had a chance to speak with one. And so we geeked out on geology and remote sensing techniques using drones and all sorts of stuff. And I drank a whole bunch of wines, but they were just sort of periphery to talking about the terroir mapping. But it was great. That was a lot of fun.
And that table was filled with other winemakers from all over the East Coast who are on the route that Gerald and I are going to be taking when we head south, hoping to visit some wineries in Maryland and Virginia and North Carolina, South Carolina. So I got some cards from people and going to make sure that we hit those wineries as we go down and say hello. So again, great opportunity to meet folks in the industry, get to know one another. Really, really great conference. And then to top it all off, we had to on our way home, we stopped in New York City.
Yeah.
And we stayed at Chuck and Bonnie's house in the big city, and got a chance to go, which is so cool that it's only a half a mile from your front door.
Yeah,
to
6 blocks.
Minton's.
Mm-hmm.
It's a famous jazz club. What did we say? It started in
1938.
38?
38,
Yep.
yeah.
38, and has probably been attended by every major jazz great since 38. Minton was a great jazz player himself.
Yep.
And so this bar is steeped in history, and we got a chance to have dinner there and see some really great acts.
Yeah, it evolved into open mic night, and I think that
was wild
as to what that actually turned out to be, sparing any details. It was a great show, and there's something about the city that brings out diversity in people that creates creative arts that wouldn't happen anywhere else. I mean, you've just got to have that population there, and it was the singing was tremendous. The talent of musicians was really quite impressive to me.
And with our interest in building our listening room on the third floor,
right?
The opportunity to see an example of other clubs and other ways in which people are presenting music. It's always a learning experience as well. So that was fun, a lot of fun, and then a long drive home.
Yeah.
To get back by sometime, I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock Friday night.
Yeah.
And then to come down with the flu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it goes.
I don't know where I got it. It just kind of showed up midweek. It was not. Ken and Bob have it worse yesterday and today than I had it all week. But I'm certainly the person who gave it to him. And there's, we're in close proximity in a car, in a hotel room. I mean, there's no avoiding it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So don't recommend it, but here it is. I think that part of what I might take away from the trip all in all is that we've been doing this since 2012, right? It's been 10 years we've been doing this since whenever they didn't have it last year. But the whole experience has always been pretty pivotal, whether it's philosophically or equipment, or, I mean, we named a bunch of our wines on one of the road trips. On this one, we got to spend a lot of time in the car, but we spent the whole time in the car engaged in conversation or listening to a podcast and interesting conversations that are things that kind of affect how things move forward in the future. So every time we've done this, no matter what, there's always some sort of experience there that sort of shifts the universe a little bit. And I would say that's really what I like about the whole prioritizing doing this every year. It's a great tradition of ours.
Just the fact that the three of us get to be with each other for 5 straight days, all practically glued at the hip, we really moves a lot forward, thinking forward, moves a lot of ideas forward.
Right.
It's really.
Oh yeah, we're working hard the whole time, putting things together.
Well,
Making it happen.
and the nice thing is, work in the alcohol industry is it's hard to call work sometimes, but still getting a lot done. So it does qualify.
So it definitely qualifies.
Yeah, absolutely qualifies. So that's our summary. We've talked probably longer than I thought we would.
Yeah,
I didn't know we had.
I know I'm out of rum, Bob. You spoke way too long. My rum toddy ran out.
Can you pour some in his cup?
You know, I've tried that, and it's still there at Chuck's house because I didn't really care for it.
Hold your cup up.
And otherwise, I would have consumed it. But I'm drinking Flag Hill's 6-year rum. Which is just amazing stuff. Yeah, Brian knocked it out of the park on that one.
I know, and he still has plenty left. So if you're in Flag Hill and you like rum, well, actually, according to Brian,
if you like Scotch,
because if you like rum, you might not like this rum because it's not reminiscent of classic rum. Right. It's got its own character and flavor, and he said he was a little remiss in thinking that he should introduce a whole new rum category out of Flag Hill and success with it. So, but it may just happen because this stuff is good and you should try it. You should get down there.
I think I will, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Marika, do you have anything to say or finish? Any questions that we should answer that we might not have covered? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
There you go. I don't think so. Glad you were able to tune in and give a report. Looking forward to seeing y'all in person once you're feeling a little better.
Yeah, me too. I don't think I've been this away from the winery for this long in years. So
maybe it's good for you.
Yeah, no, I think I need the winery. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in again. Another Monday night with the Hermits. This has actually turned out to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Next week we're talking about waffles.
Waffles.
I don't know what is it.
Well, I won't be here for that waffle event.
What are you talking about? Waffles?
How about Turkish food? Maybe?
Turkish food.
I could be there for the Turkish
Ken
food.
can tune in from Turkey.
Yeah.
It'll be what, midnight there.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Yes. So stay tuned. We're going to come up with something fun for next Monday. I guarantee it.
I've got one more thing for closing, Bob. Priscilla was good to remind us that she's been voting every day, so we should do a little plug for that. It is the best of the Lakes region competition through the Laconia Daily Sun, and we've been nominated in 9 categories?
9 categories.
Right. And if you have multiple devices, you can vote off of every device. A phone, an iPad, a laptop.
Yeah.
I put the link in the comments too, and that's a handy link that you can go on and vote for all the Hermit Woods categories at once, or you can do just the, votelakesbest.com and then vote for your other favorite Lakes region businesses as well, of course. But we appreciate everybody's support in that.
Yes,
right.
Thank you.
Well said. Thanks.
Excellent. And we just had Tom Wiegelman joined us. Did Tom? Wait a minute.
He put us.
I mentioned Tom before.
He did. Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you, folks. I look forward to seeing everybody next Monday at 5:30. Until then, have a great week, and maybe we'll see you at the winery.
Right. See y'all
Care.
later.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Hold the cups.
Totally cups. Yeah.
Hey, your cup is hollow, Chuck.
Yeah, it's got a hole in it.
The
Yeah.
wheel. The wheel is
Must
cut
be,
out.
I assume that's a green wheel.
Are we still on? Is our volume still on, Bob? There we
I
go.
can hear you, Ken, but I don't know if the world can. Who knows? I don't know.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Bye, everyone.